There is a misconception that when things are going good, when we're in the peak season, we don't need to do marketing, we don't need to promote anything. But this is actually the key period where you want to be marketing to build for your next season. Hello, and welcome back to Marketing Made Iconic. If you've been in tourism for any length of time, you know the seasonal roller coaster. One month you're sold out, the next you're staring at empty booking calendars and wondering how you'll cover costs. Today's episode is all about breaking that cycle. We're going to unpack practical ways to stabilize your revenue year round so you're not at the mercy of peaks and troughs. This is where we get into one of my favorite parts of Elevate Tourism, the platform, the Seasonality Stabilizer Suite. So let's jump in. Seasonality is the silent stressor in tourism. Here's what usually happens. You ride the highs of peak season, feel on top of the world, then the quiet hits. Suddenly, you're thinking about cutting costs, second guessing your pricing, and scrambling for ideas. And instead of using the downtime strategically, you feel like you're in survival mode. Every tourism business I speak to had the same problem. Here's the thing, seasonality isn't going away. It's a time-old problem. But you can design systems that smooth it out so you're not caught in constant chaos. The first part of this is what I call the profit stabilizer blueprint. And this is where you build strategies that lock in revenue early and spread bookings across the year. There is a misconception that when things are going good, when we're in the peak season, we don't need to do marketing, we don't need to promote anything. But this is actually the key period where you want to be marketing to build for your next season. So there is always, if you think about it, there is always some timing involved in when people are first learning about your brand or your experience and when they actually book. It takes, months for people to plan holidays. So they're toying with a lot of different ideas for months and sometimes years in planning particular holidays. What you want to think about is promoting in one season for the next season. You can always have some last minute strategies that go on in a particular season for that particular season. Yet you might have a 7-day promo for that next week, for example. So let's talk about some of the tools that you can access inside the Profit Stabilizer Blueprint and some of the tools that you need to be thinking about to level out this peak season, low season trough. Number one is dynamic pricing. Adjust your pricing based on demand, rewarding early bookers and filling those off-peak spots. This is particularly suitable for accommodation providers and boutique accommodation. Lots of the big hotel chains do dynamic pricing really well. They have really automated systems that work this out. And you'll know that as time comes closer to booking, those prices adjust quite dynamically. But it is a concept for you to think about, definitely for your guests and visitors in low and peak season particularly. Doesn't have to be automated and complex. The other thing is prepaid bundles and memberships. So I like to talk about creating mechanisms for people. So you might have this great thing going on. People can book a $500 experience or a $100 experience. And you feel like, well, that people are free to do that. People are free to do what they want, book what they want, but without giving them mechanisms like reasons to book, discounts, seasonal incentives, or prepaid bundles, packages, memberships, Then we start thinking about loyalty. Without that, you might just hear crickets. These days, we have to find ways to capture the attention of people to get them booking our experience and service or product. So imagine selling 10 class passes for your retreat sessions or other seasonal packages that guarantee repeat visits. So have a think about what you can do to encourage customers back. So after their first visit, you could give them a 10% discount for their next visit. A really great idea is to package up your experience or your accommodation or a meal voucher if you're a restaurant or cafe with another business and have a bundle package that people can purchase, which is not only enticing because typically that would be a slightly cheaper price than what they would get having bought things separately, but it's also enticing them into your region, your precinct, like your location and destination. The other thing is you always want to have an email database. So I'm going to assume that you have an email database and you can use that and also text messages to trigger those bookings. So things like book now and enjoy this perk, grab a gift voucher today, the little things that keep your audience engaged. And again, little reasons to remind them to book. You need to do the hard work for people. Otherwise, people are going to book the other experiences that are in front of them. So we need to find all those opportunities to be in front of them. The other thing is to have a year-round strategy guide. So mapping out promotions for every season in advance so you're not scrambling at the last minute. I am a huge fan of planning ahead, and whenever we run campaigns, things for clients, or create a marketing plan or what have you, it's very practical and based on planning ahead. Now, let's flip the script on low season. Too many operators see it as a problem. It's actually a prime time for lead generation and engagement. So we just talked about some promotional things that you can do through peak season to reduce that trough feeling through low season. And what can you do through low season? It's really prime time to build your database, which is what we talk about when we say lead generation. So the low season conversion loop is one of the tools inside Elevate Tourism. It gives you all the tools you need to run creative lead generation campaigns and build warm communities. So think locals first campaigns. There's a really great time to engage the locals to get their support. VIP groups, loyalty perks. You can use a campaign calendar to plan low season pushes. And inside Elevate Tourism, we have outlined all of those pushes, discounts, mechanisms for you to use. It's just all there laid out for you. And turning these quiet season leads that you generate into confirmed bookings for your next peak season. So here's an example for you. A wildlife park could run a locals free kids entry campaign during winter. They're capturing emails in the process, and then when school holidays roll around, they can market directly to that same list. I want to also tell you about a recent campaign we ran, a winter campaign, which went beautifully. We ran the campaign actually during just pre and during the winter season. So we developed a campaign plan, key messaging, but one of the most important parts is that all the businesses involved had some sort of discount or booking mechanism to encourage bookings. So this was for a tourism region You'll see all the details on the LE Marketing socials. And we then ran, so a lot of different businesses in that region were involved in the winter campaign. And a lot of you may or may not understand that when regional tourism bodies run marketing, their job is to promote the region. So the ROI or the return on investment that individual businesses see as a result of a campaign like this is usually in the form of strong brand recognition, building credibility and reputation and awareness. So getting eyes and being famous. It is a bit of a hard ask to ask the destination bodies to give member businesses or businesses in their region a hard return on investment in terms of bookings and costs. However, this is a very important part of tourism businesses and their success. At the end of the day, it is all about bookings. And if you don't have those bookings, when you do get those bookings, we know that is what keeps your lights on. That's what drives your revenue. So it's very important, right? This campaign that we ran had about 25 businesses involved. Those businesses, we just had started getting some feedback directly once the campaign wrapped up. It was really successful in terms of the data that we could see from the front end. Almost 2 million eyes on the brand that is this destination. There was a lot of landing page visits, which is a key metric for this regional tourism body. And obviously the one thing we couldn't see, which we've been getting feedback on now, is the bookings and revenue that individual businesses received off the back of that campaign. So the ones that were able to measure and track this appropriately had a discount code specifically for this campaign. So that discount code wasn't promoted anywhere else for these businesses, only for the region's winter campaign. And we have now got the results where one business experienced a 30% uptick in bookings. So they were very happy and this is through low season. Another business had 335 extra bodies book through that period. That equated to a 8 times return on their investment that they contributed to this winter campaign. So some fantastic results. This stuff does work. Okay, and now talking a bit more about locals first. You can run a locals first campaign. We don't ever want to underestimate our own backyard. They're going to be our heroes, our champions, and be those people that come back time and time again. So a locals first strategy, which we do run through in Elevate Tourism, is about engaging the people in your region because they become your repeat visitors, your ambassadors, and sometimes your biggest advocates. So there's a few ideas that you could do to attract the locals, particularly through your low season. You could have locals night at your cafe or restaurant. You could partner with other small businesses for cross promotion. You could either do a bundle or simply have an arrangement where you promote each other. You can have exclusive offers for local postcodes and storytelling that actually celebrates your community and your region. Now, here is where it all clicks. Pulling it all together, low season lead gen fuels peak season profits. So I know you don't have a problem with peak season, but you should be capturing as much as possible as you can, just identifying that this is a reality in your peak season. So I'll say that again. Low season lead gen fuels peak season profits. So we want to maximize what happens in that peak season. By capturing leads, building relationships, locking in bookings early, you're not just filling those gaps, you're building momentum so that when peak season arrives, you're already ahead. And this is the big shift from reactive scrambling to proactive planning. And when you lead your potential customers and guests, they will follow. So let me ask you one thing. What is one thing you could do differently next low season? Could you design a bundle, launch a locals campaign, create a lead gen offer that plants the seeds for your peak? Because this is how you step off the roller coaster and into a smoother, more sustainable rhythm. Remember, stability isn't luck, it's strategy. And now you've got the playbook. If you want to learn more, we do have a free trial for Elevate Tourism. Go to elevatetourism.com and get all of your tools.